What's up, math scholars? Thanks for joining me on this video. We're going to go over 16 through 30, the second half of that 2018 online practice test that you completed. So hopefully your air test prep work is going well, and the air test next week will be a breeze for you. Get those points towards graduation. All right, so we have these rabbits on the island. They're doubling every year. That's definitely going to be an exponential growth scenario. So let's just recap an exponential growth equation. A would be the starting amount. In this case, we're starting with 150 rabbits. I'll put that in. B is going to be our growth factor, and the bunnies are doubling every year. That makes my growth factor 2. Now that 4,800, that's a number we can put in for y if we were interested in solving for x. Now we haven't quite learned how to solve for x, so they do just want you to select D and move along. Okay, so that one was D. Number 17, an equation is shown. They want the value of x that would make the equation true. Now just a real quick reminder, solutions to a quadratic like this are the same exact thing as x-intercepts. They can also use the word roots to describe them. So really, we're just going to pull up Desmos and look for those x-intercepts, okay? So let's grab our Desmos. I'm going to walk over to the computer. I'll be further from the microphone. I'll try yelling. Y equals 2x squared minus 5x minus 3. Bam and bam. So where I did my hover and clicking, those are our solutions, negative 0.5 and 3. And you would just enter them in the box. Negative 0.5 and 3. Awesome. All right. 18. We would like to make an equation of a quadratic function that would have solutions at negative 3 and 5. So I actually just thought to myself, what binomials would have solutions of negative 3 and 5? The binomial x plus 3 would have a solution of negative 3, because negative 3 plugged in for x would make it 0. And then x minus 5 would be a binomial that would have a solution of 5. And I'm going to prove that to you by graphing it in Desmos and showing you those solutions. But I did take this practice test and I had it graded for me, and it did accept this answer as correct. You also could FOIL it out and get x squared minus 2x x squared minus 2x minus 15. It would accept that answer as well. Let's graph it. So you can kind of see if we were graph it, it would give me that solution at negative 3 and then up at 5. So that is correct. 19, select all the points that are contained in the graph. So you could do this on Desmos and just find these different coordinates, or you can do it by hand. So let me just show you how I would check this first one by hand. I put a 1/2 in for y, and I put a 0 in for x, and I would see if it would make a true statement for me. On the left, I would have 1/2. On the right, that would be 0, so I'd have 3/4. That is not a true statement, so that's not going to be one of our answers. Now, you could do that for all the choices, or you could just go to Desmos and see which coordinates are on the line. Let's go to Desmos. I'm going to move this over a little bit so I can see it, but you can definitely see there's a coordinate at negative 1.50 up at 0.75. And then if you click and hold, you can see other coordinates and you can explore things. So that's kind of how I explored that at 0.5. It was at 1, so that's one of the answers. All right. So yeah, you can just kind of click and hold it and drag along, and that's how I can see all my different choices. But these two were the only two that were on the line. Okay. We actually did this, I think it was one of the homework problems, or maybe it was on one of the mini quizzes. It was on one of the mini quizzes. When you have f of 12, that 12 is in parentheses, so that 12 is an x value. So f of 12 would be 2 over 3 times 12 plus 3. You can calculate that out, but the answer ends up being 11. So I think the biggest mistake is people think that 12 is a y value. It's actually an x value when it's in parentheses like that. All right, we're going to go ahead and graph this and look at the x-intercept because that's where the grasshopper would hit the ground. So off to Desmos. Again, we have to use x's, not t's, so be careful on that. Negative x squared plus 14x minus 40. I think I messed up. Oh yeah, I messed up. I typed in the next point, sorry. Plus 4/3 x plus 1/4. There we go. So where I have clicks where the grasshopper hits the ground, you can kind of see he jumps, goes up, comes back down. He hits the ground at 1.5 seconds. So we're going to go with 1.5. Right, probably good time to pause and give you guys a keyword. Let's go with the keyword of kayak today. K-A-Y-A-K, kayak. I really like to go kayaking, and I have a race this weekend, an 8-mile kayak race. So got kayaks on the mind, kayak. All right, 22. That's the one I accidentally was graphing a second ago, number 22. We're going to make this graph and then answer some questions about what is true and not true about the graph. So let me put it in my Desmos. Alright, so we have to answer a few questions. It talks about checking everything that would be true about the graph from 6 to 8. So from 6 to 8 would probably be from about here at 6. I'm just kind of clicking and holding 6, 8, all the way over here to like 8, 8, 8. Right? So this is the part of the graph we're exploring. It says, is the value of y increasing over the interval 6 to 7? And that is true, because from 6 to 7, from like here up to here, it's going up. So the first one would be true. You would click that. The second one, the value of y is increasing over the interval 7 through 8. 7 through 8 is right here. That's a decrease. 7 through 8, if I pull it over, let's not let me pull over, but 7 through 8 is a decrease. That's not true. The next one's a little tricky. The average rate of change from 6 to 8 is 0. Here is where 6 is. Here's where 8 is. It is going to be a 0 slope from 6 to 8. It would go straight across. So that would be true. That's the third box down. And the other ones just are not true. The value of y is not constant over the interval 6 to 8. And the average rate of change from 6 to 7 is not the average the same as the interval 7 from 7 to 8. From 6 to 7, we're increasing. From 7 to 8, we're decreasing. So number 23 only had 2 boxes to check mark. 23, this is by far the hardest one I experienced on this practice error test. What we have here is definitely something that's exponentially growing. So here's our exponential growth equation. We're going to start by chatting about what the growth factor would be. From 4 to 12 to 36, they are multiplying by 3. So we're going to have a growth factor of 3. The exponent x, they actually want to use an n, so I'll make it an n. And coming up with this next number was the hardest thing for me personally. I thought we could just plop a 4 in there. I thought the first term would just be 4, but then I tried it. I tried putting a 1 in for n, and seeing if putting a 1 in for n would give me an answer of 4. It gave me an answer of 12, so it's a little off. That first term actually has to be term 0. The term that would exist one term before the 4. So I kind of work backwards. 36 divided by 3 is 12. 12 divided by 3 is 4. And 4 divided by 3 is what we're going to use as our first term, 4/3. Then if you try your equation and you try putting a 1 in for n, it will give you the right first term of 4, or f of 1 term. So very, very, very tricky. But that is the correct answer for 23. landscaper puts 5 fish in a new pond. The fish double each month. So we're definitely going to be doing our exponential growth equation again. This is definitely an equation to learn if you have not learned it yet. I mean, that's probably the 4th or 5th problem we've seen that uses it. So very, very, very important. 5 is how many fish we're starting with. That's your starting amount. We're doubling each month, so that's going to be our growth factor right here too. And then x is your exponent. Okay, 25. Which expression is equivalent to 8x to the third to the 2/3? That 2/3 actually will distribute into everybody. So we'll have 8 to the 2/3, and we'll have x cubed to the 2/3. Those exponents end up multiplying because they're next door neighbor buddies. If you would type in 8 to the 2/3 in your calculator, it will give you 4. And then these two numbers will multiply together and become a 2. So it's 4x squared. Going with A on number 25. All right, this is something in slope intercept form, y equals mx plus b. So 4.99 would be my slope, and 5.75 would be my y-intercept. Now let's read the situation. A shipping company is charging a cost per pound. That'd be the $4.99. This is the total cost of shipping x pounds modeled by this function. Which part of the function represents the fixed fee? That'd be your y-intercept, the 5.75. I'm going with C on number 26. 27, we have done this problem so many times. I think it was on a study guide. I think it was on a quiz, but what's one more time? Tickets for lower level are $35 each. Tickets for upper level are $25 each. And we're making a total of $10,250. We are selling lower and upper level tickets together and selling $350 total. So it's like one equation deals with monetary values and one equation deals with just number of tickets sold. All right, we'll head to Desmos. Graph this system of linear equations, graph these two lines, and just look for where they cross, and that'll be your answer. I cannot see my graph because I got to zoom out. There it is. Now, if you ever can't see anything, don't panic. Just zoom around a little bit. But 150, 200, where 150 is our X value, so lower level tickets. And 200 is our Y value, so that would be upper level tickets. So 150 goes here, 200 goes here. All right, 28. This equation is definitely going to make a parabola. I know that because I can see the squared. But if they want a minimum value, that's where people get confused. A value is normally a y value. So we're going to graph it, look for that vertex, and go with the y value of the vertex. Let's see what the picture looks like. So you got to use a y again. So I zoomed back to my normal zoom, did my hover click, found my vertex to be 2, 3. Which, by the way, this is in vertex form. You could have just looked right here and saw that the vertex was 2, 3. But anyhow, the y value, the lowest value we're hitting is right here. Oop, I'm going to write on here. It's not letting me write on here, but it's right there at 3. So we're going to go with 3 for our answer. All right, so they are solving this equation. It looks like the first thing that they're doing is taking this 3 and distributing. So you would go with the distributive property in this box. The next thing they're doing to solve the equation is subtracting this x over to the other side. Now there's not really a subtraction property of equality. So you have to kind of think subtracting is the same thing as adding a negative. So adding property of equality is what they wanted for the second box. To get to the next step, they did add a 6 over to the other side. So yet again, another addition property of equality for the third box. And then to get from the 2x equals 10 to the final answer, they divide by 2. Same deal, there's not a division property of equality, but dividing by 2 and multiplying by 1/2 is the same exact thing. So the very last property for the last box is the multiplication property of equality. So just to run down the list, it was distributive first, and then 2 addition properties, and then the multiplication property. All right, let's go ahead and try to graph this and see what we can see. (9x minus 4y equals -18). Now this was a drop down, and I'm not quite in the actual practice test right now. I'm in Smart Notebook, so I can't see what all the choices were in the drop down. But what I did end up selecting, I kind of just kind of clicked around my graph and clicked and held. Right now I'm clicking and holding as I slide to explore all these options. But down here at -4, let me get my finger to -4 exactly. Having troubles. There. There. At -4, it's at -4.5. So that was the one I chose as a drop down. -4, -4.5 is one of many solutions to the equation. One of many. So that's your final answer on number 30. Hope you had fun watching this video. I kept it under 20 minutes, so that's good. Let's end the day with one last keyword. How about scholar? Scholar. SCHOLAR, because I hope all of you guys will be air scholars on your air test, whether you're taking it Monday or Tuesday. So go out there, make me proud, be a scholar, and bring home a high score, all right? Good luck, get lots of sleep. Remember to eat some breakfast that morning, and just relax. You'll do great, okay? Thanks for watching, and have fun. See ya.